Hey, Dave Spalding, Handgun Combatives. I want to take a few moments of your time to talk about something that every Glock shooter has likely faced. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about losing that all-important front sight. You're on the range, you're having a really good training day, or maybe you're having a really bad training day, or you're getting ready to have a really bad training day because you happen to look at that front sight and it's not there, it's gone. It's something that happens with the screw-on front sight that's not so prevalent with the dovetailed front sights. But that screw-on front sight is easy to swap back and forth, so I kind of like it. So, talking to the folks at AmeriGlow, they gave me some pointers on how to keep that front sight in place. And what I thought I'd do today is share them with you. So let's get right into it. You got to understand, first of all, that when these things come from the factory, they have been blackened and there's like a rust inhibitor on them because who knows how long these are going to be hanging on a shelf or on the wall or in a gun store or whatever the case may be. And they need to be protected against rust. So that blackening, that rust inhibitor can affect the screw's ability to stay in place, especially when you're using Loctite, because Loctite needs to be nice and dry and degreased to work at its best. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to degrease that screw. AmeriGlow recommends Uline degreaser. I use it. I happen to like it. If you don't have access to this, acetone can work. But how I go about that is I go ahead and use the packaging that AmeriGlow sends with the sights because I'm probably going to throw it away anyway. I just put the screw down there in the low part of the tray and I give it a little shot. I want this to air dry, so I get it up out of that puddle. If I can get a hold of it because it's slick. And I'm just going to sit it up here and I'm going to let it air dry. I'm not going to try to use any kind of a cloth or anything on it. I want it to air dry. Well, because we're in a video here and we're a little time crunched, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a screw that we have already got prepped. So I'm going to use these needle nose pliers and I'm going to pick these things up and I'm going to put them in this magnetic sight tool to hold them in place. Okay, see if we can get it in there. It's a good thing it's got a magnet on it or I would have lost it already. Why am I using the needle nose pliers? Because my fingers have sweat and grease on them. I don't want to re-grease this screw, so I'm going to use the needle nose pliers. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my little AmeriGlow tray, and I'm going to give myself a little drop of Loctite, and I'm going to use a toothpick. And I'm going to pick up the toothpick, or pick up the Loctite with a little bit from the toothpick, and I'm just going to put that Loctite into the threads. That's all I need to do. It doesn't need to look like a blue helmet on top of that screw. You just need to fill those threads up. Put my index finger on the sight, tip this over. Thankfully, the magnetic tool holds it in place. Put it in the socket, twist it down. When it gets tight, I'm just going to give it a little push. I'm not going to go too much. I don't want to bust that screw off. And now I have a properly mounted front sight using a screw post. Now, a little word of warning. If you go on the Loctite website, they will tell you that if you need to remove a screw that's been treated with their product, use heat. Doesn't matter if it's blue, doesn't matter if it's red. Use heat to loosen it up. So when you're shooting your pistol and that slide's going back and forth, what's happening? Heat is being transferred through that slide. So there's a chance that that Loctite could break down and that screw could start to come out again. No big deal. Just keep an eye on that. As a matter of fact, every time you clean your pistol, you should check that front sight and make sure it's tight. It should be part of your maintenance. And if it is loose, don't just tighten it down. Pull it back out, degrease it, apply some new Loctite, snug it back down. Now, also a word of caution. It's a worse problem in the summer than it is in the cold weather. You're out shooting 200, 300 rounds on a 90-degree day, slide's going to get even hotter, so keep that in mind. So go ahead, and mount your front sight properly. Use the degreaser. Let it air dry. Don't put an excessive amount of Loctite on it. If you do that, you're probably going to hang on to that front sight for the length of time you own that gun. Dave Spalding, Handgun Combatives. Thanks for checking in.